going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Hills Are Silent podcast. I'm Two-Tone the Artist.
And I am Mr. Peach.
And on this podcast, we like to chop it up about the games of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Got some good stuff to cover on this episode, including some Silent Hill topics. And
yes.
You may not have noticed the name of the podcast, but we play a few Silent Hill games every now and then. Anyway, rolling into that, Mitch, you were telling me that Sony had their State of Play, and they had some Silent Hill announcements during that State of Play.
They did, yeah. So they had a couple of cool announcements. So the first one being, as we all know, the Silent Hill 2 remake is coming out. So they did actually show quite an extensive trailer on that one. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but this one is being made by the folks that do Layers of Fear, I believe.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
I believe that is the case. Those are the developers behind the remake. And just perusing around the internet during after watching the State of Play and watching this trailer of the remake, it seemed like a lot of the this is a very early trailer of the combat and like the actual physics and whatnot. People were a bit turned off by how it was looking and how it was feeling, and I think it led them actually to come out and release some more a few more clips of stuff that they were working on Twitter afterward that I noticed it actually looked a lot better than what they were showing through this trailer. So I don't know. This is you just watched it before we started recording. What are your thoughts on how it's looking so far? I mean, it looks like it still has that, the creepy charm and just what makes Silent Hill good, right?
So first off, if it is made by the same people who developed Layers of Fear, that's a good gig to get. Because obviously
Yes.
they're horror fans, so for them to strike a deal with Konami to remake Silent Hill 2, that's got to be like the dream job for any studio that likes to make horror games. So kudos to them for landing that job. Looking at the trailer, I mean, it looks like Silent Hill 2 to me with better graphics and smoother gameplay, so I don't really know what everybody was complaining about. I mean, I did see that people were saying the trailer focused a lot on the combat, but I really think they just wanted to show off some action, because Silent Hill is like a slow burn, and it's all about the atmosphere. But a trailer is meant to excite people in a very short amount of time. So I don't fault them for focusing on the action in the short trailer. But if the game actually plays like the original Silent Hill 2, then it probably will be less combat focused than the trailer leads you to believe. But again, it's just hard to convey that slow burn of Silent Hill in a 1.5-minute trailer. So I think that's why they went this direction.
Yeah, and if you look at the combat just from the original Silent Hill 2, that was not something that was that was not the main focus of that game. That is not what really drew people in or what makes that game great. So I mean, I just really want that game just to get a nice remake that looks good, that looks modern, and that just still has that super creepy vibe, but bringing it into a 4K high dynamic range atmosphere.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. I still have high hopes for it. To me, the trailer looks good. It's dark and creepy, and yeah.
They still nailed the fog, They got it, that staple Silent Hill fog.
Yeah.
But it is Blooper Team is the one doing the Silent Hill 2 remake, and they are the Layers of Fear developer as well. And they've done some other stuff like The Medium, which I played, and I enjoyed The Medium. And then they've also done Blair Witch and some other horror in their repertoire. So I think it's in good hands, and we'll see when it comes out.
Yeah, I think so too. I have no doubt this will, at a minimum, be a good game.
Yeah.
All right, so you said that they hit us with not one, but two Silent Hill trailers during
They hit
Sony's
us
State
with
of Play?
not one, but two Silent Hill trailers, and this one was a surprise. I did not see any leaks about this prior to. I was actually just watching it live. I had it in the background while I was working. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll check it out. I don't even own a PlayStation, but, I have a gaming podcast. I'm going to check it out. And so they actually announced and released on the day of the State of Play a game called Silent Hill: The Short Message. And this is a first person, almost identical looking to PT, which people right off the bat were, pretty much clamoring that it did seem very much inspired by PT in all the best ways.
Yeah, it's totally different take. This one's in first person, whereas the Silent Hill 2 remake is in third person. And like you said, it looks like it's going through hallways, going through rooms, and just creepy stuff happening around you. Definitely does look like the PT playable trailer that released years ago on PlayStation 4. Which was meant to be a playable demo for the Silent Hill game that Hideo Kojima was working on that eventually got canceled. I did play through the PT game, and it was super creepy. My buddy and I finished it. It was a lot of fun. So you're right. This does look like it builds on that, even to the point where they show at the very end of the trailer that the main character is waking up again. Because the thing with PT is it was like the same. You were waking up in the same hallway over and over and over again. And each time something would be slightly different, and you were solving puzzles. And at the end of this trailer, it shows the character waking up all over again. So I'm assuming it's probably going to have that same type of game mechanic where it's just like kind of Groundhog's Day, where the same thing just keeps happening and you're reliving it and just trying to get a little farther. So you told me this only released on PlayStation 5, right?
It did only release on PlayStation 5. Unfortunately, neither one of us own a PlayStation 5, but it is really adding to the amount of exclusive games that are coming out on that dang console that I'm going to have to bite the bullet and get one at some point down the line. We've got this. We've got Final Fantasy 16. We've got Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth coming out. Got the new God of War isn't even ported over to PC. I mean, it's adding up to the point where it's like, all right, it's getting close to the time.
Yeah.
But the short message was developed by Hexadive, which I had never heard of. But some of their previous games are pretty funny. They've done Super Bomberman R, Mario Sports Superstars. It looks like they worked on Final Fantasy 15. They've done some other Final Fantasy. I don't know if they may not have been the sole developer on a lot of this stuff, but it's kind of funny seeing a lot of these. But they also, a notable one which might actually connect a little bit, they did Resident Evil 7's DLC, Not a Hero, which is the one with
Chris Redfield.
That is the one with Chris Redfield, yes, when he's taking down the uncle.
All right, again, another studio that landed some dream projects. So they worked on both Resident Evil and Silent Hill. Man, nice.
Yeah, so two pretty cool trailers. Us as the Hilder Silent podcast, we had to bring that, announce it, even though as it stands right now, Mike and I cannot play either one of these games when
actually, now that I think about it, I played through the PT demo or the PT trailer, whatever you want to call it. The name's confusing.
Sure.
I played through that with my buddy James because he had a PlayStation 4 at the time it was released, and I did not have a PS4 at that time. Well, I know he has a PlayStation 5, so I'm going to hit him up, be like, hey man, we got another Silent Hill demo to play through. So I think I'm going to go over to his house and we'll crank through this.
Yeah, would love for you to play that and report back, because I'm going to have to find a buddy with a PS5 as well.
Yeah. All right, man, cool. Always glad to hear some Silent Hill news, and this is looking good. It's looking better than
Silent Hill Ascension.
Yeah. Already forgot the name, but yeah.
I'm actually just perusing a Kotaku article where they were basically bashing the Silent Hill Ascension experience.
Well, different developers, different projects. Yes. I think it's in good hands with these studios.
I think so.
All right, man. So, what's up next?
We got some game pickups.
Excellent,
and I've been holding back, man. I've been really wanting to show you these ones because there's some pretty good ones. I'm gonna go with I'll go with the heavy hitters first. So I actually found, I think I was talking to you one night after we recorded a pod, and I was looking through my box of crap that my dad gave me when he packed up a bunch of my old stuff, and he said, "Hey, take this box. It's all your crap. Just take it." So I found a couple old game cases, but all these game cases I kept finding, I didn't have the game inside. So I'm like, man, I have these cases, and like, what am I gonna do with this? So I ended up picking up the games for the cases because they just kept staring at me, and I'm like, yeah, it's time. So I went for both Mario Kart Double Dash and Mario Power Tennis, which, a good tribute to Mike and I playing some Mario Tennis a few episodes ago. But I went and got the disc-only versions on eBay and just used my old childhood cases, and it worked out that I could, even my Mario Power Tennis still has all the inserts and everything. So
nice.
Double Dash, very expensive, by the way, for anybody who wants to get Double Dash.
Even for just the disc, even disc only.
Just the disc cost me about $50.
Whew.
And with the case, I think it was another, $30 or $40. It was like $80 to $90 for the full thing.
Dang.
But then I think the disc for Mario Power Tennis was like $15.
Okay, so, there we go. That's the deal.
Yeah, so I'm like, all right, I'll take that. I'm like, I have both these cases. Like, I can't just not have these games. They're two classic games I would play anyway. So
yeah, I've actually never played either of those games. I mean, obviously, I played Mario Tennis on Nintendo 64 and played Mario Kart on Nintendo 64. You and I played that just recently, but I played those games when they came out as well. But the GameCube sequels, never played those ones.
Yeah, well, it tells you how much I remember it, because I think during the episode when we were talking about it, I didn't remember that they had one on the GameCube, and I guess I owned it as a kid. So I think this is actually a really good one still. I think it operates very closely to that Nintendo 64 version, so I'm excited to give it a try. Speeding along here, I've been collecting, obviously, as you can see behind me. I have a lot of stuff for my Switch.
Yeah, I'm loving the new shelves.
Yes, got some new shelving for my ever-growing collection of games. But I've been collecting a lot for the Switch because I love playing my Switch, and I want to keep getting stuff that is perfect for it. And the first one I got is, we love our collections, so I went and got the Five Nights at Freddy's collection, which includes Five Nights at Freddy's. I think there's 5 games in total on this. It's 1 through 4, and then it says plus sister location. So 5 games in one. I don't know if I can even. It's not going to focus very well.
So I actually just recently watched the Five Nights at Freddy's movie.
Aha! How did you like that?
I mean, it was okay.
Was it goofy?
It was okay.
Yeah, I figured as much. Yeah, but it's a lot of. I like at least that people are giving games turn to movies a little bit more of a shot, and they're putting some better product out there.
Yeah,
I
will give them their props that they stuck pretty close to the game. It wasn't like a Resident Evil situation where the movie has almost nothing to do with the game. Like, it actually follows the game pretty closely.
All right, so my next one is actually a re-release of a 1995 RPG, and it is called Tactics Ogre Reborn, and it is a Square Enix game. and this is a actually turn-based grid like combats type game, and I've been really looking at this one, and I think I saw it on for like $20 or something like that, and I decided to pull the trigger on it. But yeah, one I've been really looking forward to playing actually, and me with my RPGs and any game that is a Square Enix stamp of approval, I am on it. And speaking of Square Enix, here's the one I paid the most money for, unfortunately, and it is the Final Fantasy Pixel collection of 1 through 6.
Awesome,
all
man.
On my Switch.
Awesome, man.
And I actually had like a $30 gift card to eBay, so I ended up only paying, I think, like $65 for this, but you can't find this thing for,
no.
I've tried so hard. It's $90 or higher. There's nothing, no in between.
Yeah.
Or there's nothing lower.
They dropped the ball on that and did not release enough copies. And I don't know why not, because that's a game everybody's going to want. That's just such a great collection.
Yeah. I kept looking at eBay, and I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna have to bite the bullet and do this, because like otherwise, I mean, it's never going down at all. So I popped into my Switch last night, and it was just so cool seeing all of like 1 through 6 just populate on my Switch and some cool graphic. I'm like, all right, this is awesome. So yeah, I am so happy I got this one. I know my buddy Swanee, who's probably listening to our pod, is chomping at the bit to get this now as well, and I bet he pulls the trigger now.
Yeah, but I mean, when a game comes with multiple games, the price then doesn't seem so bad, because if you divide that by, what is it, 6 games, 1 through 6 that's on there, if you divide $90 by 6, I mean, I don't know, you're playing what, like $12.50 a game or something like that.
And that's a lot of hours. They're all Final Fantasy games, so they aren't short games by any means either, so you're getting a lot of gameplay from one cartridge. So that is my pickups. Spent a little more on some of them than I wanted to, but I was going to buy some of them regardless, no matter what time it was, and I just said, all right, time to just get all these out of the way, and I'm gonna take a little break for now on the pickups. We always say that. I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah, and speaking of, man.
Yeah, speaking of.
I talked a big game last couple episodes about how I was going to spend less money, get less game pickups. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I made it a month. So at least give me my props. I made it through January without picking anything up. But as soon as February 1st hit, I fell off the wagon, man. Grabbed a couple games. In my defense, I was in Charlotte, North Carolina on a business trip, and they have some good game stores out there. They have a store called The Grid, which is actually owned by Goodwill. So it's basically like a Goodwill thrift store, but only electronics. So wow. It's all used video games, used PC parts, TVs, tablets, hard drives, like all that stuff. Basically, I don't know really where all the inventory comes from, but I think a lot of it is like a concentrated donation. So I'm sure people donate electronics to the standard Goodwill stores, and then they send a lot of it to this Grid store. So it's basically a thrift store just for electronics. Like, such a cool place. And they typically have pretty good deals on everything in there. Stuff's usually pretty cheap. So I hit up The Grid. There's a couple Second and Charles stores out there that I checked out. And then there was another one called, what was the name of it? Like G2K Games or something? Let me see. G2K Games. It was in a mall out there. And it was a huge game store. They also had board games and cards as well. Anyway, so I went around and I found some cool stuff. So, as I said before, the audience, feel free to give me a hard time about not sticking to my New Year's resolution about picking up less games this year. Hey, I'll get back on track next month.
Our loyal listener Typo was rooting for you in the comments, man. He was with you the whole way, Mike, and he was congratulating you on your 1 month your one month of no buying game sobriety. But you were out of town. If I'm out of town, I like to go check out game stores too. So I think you're excused.
Yeah. So anyway, I had mentioned on a previous episode that I picked up the Logitech wireless controller for PlayStation 2, which for those who don't know, this is like the best PlayStation 2 controller. It's a really good wireless controller for PS2, which back in the day I didn't even know there was a wireless option for PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
Well, I had gotten that at what's the name?
Mega Replay, right?
Yeah, Mega Replay in Peoria for $3, and I was so excited because these controllers are hard to come by. And I got home, and lo and behold, it didn't work.
Oh.
It would turn on, and it would stay on for about maybe a minute, and then it would just power off, even with brand new fresh batteries. So I don't know if it's like got a bad capacitor in there or what. I'm gonna take it apart, see if maybe it can be repaired. But having said that, when I was at a second and Charles in Charlotte, North Carolina, I did see another one there. So I picked this one up. So hopefully this one works. I've not had a chance to test it out yet, but I've had bad luck with this. As I mentioned before, the first time I ever came across this controller, I found two at a Goodwill, and they both had serious battery corrosion in the back. And after cleaning them up, only one worked. Then I tried to order two more off of eBay, and they got stolen in the mail, and I ended up just getting like an empty envelope delivered to my house. And then I tried to get the one at Mega Replay, and then it has some issue or won't stay on. And then now we got another one. Hopefully this one works. All I want is a second working one of these. And I've got the one for original Xbox as well. And
oh, nice.
The original Xbox one is just as good. I mean, these are amazing controllers. But same situation with this. I had bought one that didn't work, and then I got a second one that did. So they're rare controllers to come by, and when you do come by them, half the time they don't even work. But anyway, so the game I picked up. What were you gonna say, Mitch?
I was surprised with my DJ Hero thing when I was taking that out to go and play it. I had batteries in there from probably 10 years at least, and I had some corrosion in there I had to clean out. And hey, they work really well. Those DJ, they're really sturdy, the DJ Hero things, because it still works like a charm.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of, I did see an article. You know how we talked about that game in Fortnite? That's like a Guitar Hero successor.
I know where you're going with this, and I was just thinking it too. Yes.
I saw that a third-party company is releasing a controller that allegedly is going to work in that game when support is added.
Yep, I did see that, and I meant to bring it up on this pod during our planning, but hey, look at us, just flowing in well with this.
Yeah, so anyway, I don't have the one game that I got at that Grid store. I left it, forgot to grab it. Anyway, what I ended up getting was Top Spin 4. Because we were talking about the tennis games, yeah. Top Spin. You were like, man, I used to play Top Spin, and I was saying I used to play Virtua Tennis.
Mm-hmm.
So Top Spin 4 was the last one they ever released, and it was released on Xbox 360. It had the highest ratings out of all of them, and word on the street is that is like hands down the best tennis game ever made.
Okay. Hey.
So I picked up a copy of that, and then when I went to Second and Charles, I found Virtua Tennis 4.
Hey, better with Kinect.
Which is the last one that... Oh, you're right, I didn't even notice that. It's got Kinect support. Even better, man. But yeah, so this was the last one they made of the Virtua Tennis. So I managed to snag the last and presumably probably the best in the series of each of these. So this controller I got like for $15. So again, I'm hoping it works. This was $10, and then Top Spin I think was like $15. Then next, when I was at G2K Games, I picked up Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge for Xbox 360. I have the first one and the second one, and I've come across this before, but I've never seen it for cheaper than $30. and they had it for $22 at G2K Games. Complete. Disc is in great condition. So I'm like, all right, man. Let me go ahead and complete my Ninja Gaiden collection. Yeah. Next up, you picked up NHL Hits a few episodes back. So I grabbed one myself. NHL Hits Pro.
I think that's the last one they did, I want to say.
It is, yeah. It's the last one they released. So usually with sports games, like I try to get like whatever's the last one they ever put out, because typically the most refined one. But this one I paid, it says $9.95, but I got it for I think like $9 even. But yeah, I love the NFL Street game, NBA Street, and NHL Hits is basically the Street version of that. It's kind of also MLB Slugfest. Like they're all kind of those over top arcade style sports games that unfortunately they don't make anymore. And did you ever play FIFA Street?
Yes, I played one of the FIFA Streets. Those are really good too, though. Like any of those Street games, they do a good job with them. Like FIFA Street's really fun as well.
Wow, I should have picked that up. They had the original FIFA Street on Xbox, and they had one of the ones that was released on Xbox 360.
I want to add them. I want all of the Streets eventually, as you've seen that I have NBA 1, 2, and 3, and then NFL 1. So I'll get there eventually.
Yeah.
I don't know. Kind of related. I don't know if you saw this, but Jason Kelsey, who's he just retired, but he was an NFL football player. He is trying to find who the rights owner is for the Backyard Sports franchise. If you remember Backyard Baseball, Backyard Soccer, and all that whatnot. He's he's retiring and he's trying to, I guess, put his talent somewhere else. So he's trying to figure out who owns the rights so he can maybe purchase them and then distribute them to a team to work on or something, which would be pretty cool to bring that back.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, man. So next, I'm always trying to grab some decent Kinect games. So I picked up Fable: The Journey.
Nice.
For Xbox Kinect.
I didn't even know that was a game.
This one I paid, I think, $4 for. It says $4.95, but it was cheaper than that. But I heard that was good. And next I got Blazing Angels 2 for Xbox 360.
Secret Missions of World War II.
Yeah, Secret Missions of World War II. So this looks actually pretty cool. Sometimes I like playing like the Ace Combat games and some other plane shooter games. So I'd never heard of this one, and the guy working at Second Charles recommended it. So I was like, all right, man, I'll check it out. It was $5. Then I picked up another OG Xbox game. Surprised I didn't already have this one. Secret Weapons Over Normandy. Again, it's a World War II fighter plane game.
I love the original Xbox logo every time I see it.
Yeah, man. So this one was $5 as well. So I snatched that one up. And last but not least, I've been on the lookout for this one. So I could not pass it up when I found a crispy copy of it at Second and Charles.
Oh, Manhunt.
Manhunt for the OG Xbox. I got the second one on PS2, and wanted the original one. I specifically wanted it on Xbox. So this one was, after a discount, $30. So yeah, man, got to stack a couple of OG Xbox games, a couple of 360 games, and my PS2 controller.
You didn't even break the bank. You paid, those are a lot of $5 hollers, so,
Yeah.
You did well.
All right.
You got way more games than me, and I probably played triple what you did.
Yeah, I think all those games were probably like what you paid for one game that you showed.
Yeah, probably.
Anyway, so speaking of picking up games, the good thing about physical games is you own them forever. Well, unfortunately, some more games have been delisted from digital distribution platforms. Some good ones too.
Yeah.
So first up is Spec Ops: The Line has just recently been removed from all digital stores. And for those who don't know, it's a military third-person shooter. And it actually got really good reviews when it first came out. I remember beating this probably back in like 2015. I got a copy on Steam and played through it, and it was a good game. I liked it. It basically says that it was removed due to expiring licenses. And I don't think that 2K Games actually came out and said what licenses were expired, but it's most likely music, because the game had some big name tracks on it, such as Jimi Hendrix's The Star-Spangled Banner and Rooster by Alice in Chains. So that actually hits a lot of games and is what causes them to be delisted. They license some music and then they lose the license, and then it just isn't financially feasible to renew those licenses to keep the games on digital distribution platforms. So then they delist the game strictly over some songs that are in the game. And I remember
it's like with Grand Theft Auto, they just recently released that trilogy in one collection, but like 90% of the radio stations that they have don't exist on those games anymore because they don't have the rights to them.
Yeah.
And they didn't want to go through the process of getting the rights to all those tracks again that they had in those radio stations. So, it's not the same experience.
And I remember playing Grand Theft Auto Vice City on Steam not that long ago, and instead of delisting the game, they stripped all the songs out of the game. So I'm driving around in Vice City and I'm hearing like the same 3 songs over and over again. I was thinking to myself, I remember that there were more songs in this. What is going on here? And then I later read that they never renewed the license for a lot of the songs, so they just literally pulled them from the game. And that's another reason why I'm an advocate for physically owning the games, because I own Vice City and I can pop it into my PlayStation 2 or my original Xbox, and that whole entire soundtrack is there, complete. And same thing with like the Guitar Hero and Rock Band games. It's nice to physically own those games because you'll have those songs and be able to pop that game in 40, 50 years from now and still jam to those games because you physically own the disc with the songs on them. And same thing with Spec Ops: The Line. If you physically own this game, who cares if the license expired? You have it and you can play this game forever. So what we like to do is when games get delisted, we like to see what the Steam keys are going for on the secondary market. Because a lot of delisted games you can still buy Steam keys for. Because for whatever reason, somehow people buy the Steam keys and they never actually redeem them. And then when these games get delisted, they can turn around and sell them typically for a lot more expensive than the game otherwise would be. So for comparison, Spec Ops: The Line right now, if you go to g2a.com, which is a website that is a place where Steam keys are sold on the secondary market, Spec Ops: The Line Steam keys are going for $38, $35, around that range, which may not seem like a lot, but prior to this delisting, you could get Spec Ops: The Line for $2.99 on a GOG.com sale or a Steam sale.
And I was looking, they actually they bundled it in with some Humble Bundle stuff too at one point in time. So I mean, you could have gotten it in a bunch of games at one point.
Yeah, so, and I imagine this is only going to go up because it's only been delisted a few days ago.
Yeah, that's a good call out, because it's as time keeps going on, there's going to be less and less keys.
Yeah, so speaking of, I was playing another game on Steam recently called Alpha Protocol, which was published by Sega. And this was delisted. I didn't know this, but because I had the game in my Steam library for the long time. This was delisted back in 2019. And it's a pretty decent game. And it's developed by Obsidian, who made Fallout New Vegas and Outer Worlds. and it's a third-person like espionage spy shooter, but it's like it's an RPG because that's Obsidian's bread and butter. They make great RPG games. It is a very involved RPG game with dialogue trees, all kinds of upgrades for your character stats and weapons, but then it's like a kind of stealth, almost like Splinter Cell third-person shooter. Very interesting blend, and it flew under the radar when it was first released, but it's actually a really good game, and it runs really well. I mean, granted, it's a game that released in like 2010, but I was playing it on my computer, like 4K resolution. Thing was running just buttery smooth, looking really crispy. I mean, I love going back to games from like 10, 15 years ago with a current gen like graphics card, and then cranking them up to 4K and playing them at the max graphics. It's glorious. It's absolutely glorious. But anyway, yeah, I found out this game was delisted. And again, you could get this game for like $1, $2, $3 on a Steam sale. But now, since it's no longer available on the secondary market, the keys for this game are going for anywhere from $108 to $120.
Woo.
And it sucks because it's a good game that everybody should have access to. It's definitely a game I recommend.
I played it too. Recommend it.
Yeah, so the best you can do is either hunt down a used copy on Xbox 360, which I'm sure are pretty cheap, or PlayStation 3, or bite the bullet and pay this crazy price. It's not worth this much. I'll say that. It's not worth $120, but it is a good game. But anyway, I'm always sad to see games get delisted, and another reason why I'm an advocate for actually having physical games, because
while we're at it, maybe you want to check on G2A to check out the Marvel Ultimate Alliance bundle that I am the price I am seeing on my screen right now. There is only one listing, and you know how people can kind of get crazy and put whatever they want as their asking price, but
whoa!
It's a pretty high price for the Marvel Ultimate Alliance that we have covered on another pod before.
So yeah, so on a previous episode we covered that the Marvel Ultimate Alliance games were delisted, and I don't remember. I'm pretty sure we checked the keys back then. I don't remember what they were going for.
I don't think it was this much.
Yeah, but for the bundle for the first and second game on Steam, $2,536.
And it's actually a reputable seller. I mean, he's got 91% positive feedback, and I think he sold 66 keys, so it's not like it's a brand new seller by any means. So, I mean, maybe he's onto something with the price there. Maybe that is the going rate.
It's crazy, man. And that's why after you and I talked about this game, I picked up physical copies for Xbox 360. And I paid, I don't know, like $8 for one, maybe like 15 for the other. And yeah.
These are good games, but also I will say they are not worth this much.
Yeah, no way. No way.
I'm glad I have them. I mean, I have them digitally, but they are on my my Xbox hard drive still. I bought them when they re-released it for a short time in the Xbox store.
Yeah. Dang. All right, man. We've got, I don't know, maybe 5-10 minutes left. Do you think we have time to go over our last topic, or should we save it?
Yeah, let's quickly go over it.
Okay. I'll let you take it away, man. You know about this one.
Yeah. So something I really wanted to highlight, because actually a couple weeks ago I was watching their biannual charity stream, but they are a company, or not a company per se, but they are a
organization.
Thank you. Couldn't get the word out. They're an organization called Games Done Quick. And they are an organization that likes to highlight various communities who do speedrunning. And twice a year, they do their big charity stream where they pick a location in the United States and they get all the speedrunning community together, and they just do 7 days of pure speedrunning, many games while raising money for charity. And the cool thing is they raise a lot of money for charity every time they do this. they actually raised $2.6 million that went to the Prevent Cancer Foundation, just this last one that happened a couple weeks ago, which is just awesome. And I've been watching these probably since I was, I think right when I graduated college, I started watching these, and they're just such a comfy stream to watch. Like during these times, they have a commentator who will talk through like the donations that they get, because people can leave like fun messages to the speedrunners. And then they have people on the couch while the actual speedrunner is doing their games, who is like kind of commenting on what's going on, any sort of tricks that these speedrunners are doing. And then obviously the speedrunner themselves is talking while he's doing his stuff. And there's just such a variety of games that it's awesome. As somebody like me who likes to divvy up my time between many different games and many different genres of games, this is super cool for me just to watch people just obliterate these games. And some people even get, their best times ever, like in front of this insane, crowd. Like they have a bunch of people like in person during these biannual streams, but they also have like, I check and there's 50 to 100,000 people sometimes in their actual Twitch channel, which is where I watch it typically. So, it's a lot of pressure to go up there and be like, I'm going to go speedrun this and not look like a fool in front of all these people on the internet and in person. So, props to a lot of these speedrunners. And I don't think I could ever be a speedrunner, but I love watching it. And I don't know if you want to show the quick video, Mike, but I was watching a Resident Evil 2 remake. I did see this one live, and then I got to see it posted again on Twitter. But speaking of like doing something under pressure of like a huge event, like their biannual charity stream, somebody went into Resident Evil 2 remake, the hardcore difficulty, and he beat it without taking any damage at all. No damage, not no deaths, like no damage, which I think is insane. I don't think I could even go through hardcore Resident Evil 2 without dying, 50 times. I don't know. I feel like, I would have died a lot if I tried to play it, but the fact that he sped run this with no damage at all is insane. And there was a short clip on Twitter of him kind of celebrating after he did it. And
yeah, he beat it in less than an hour and a half. That's crazy.
Yeah, just stuff like that is like so cool to watch in person, just to see people like obliterate records like in front of all these people, and do cool things like this. Or you can during these streams, like obviously you raise money, and the more they give you incentives for donating. Like they show off some of like the swag that they have, that you can get entered into a drawing if you donate. But people write in funny donation messages, and then you can actually donate toward speedrunners, like specific games. So for instance, Resident Evil 2, we'll stick with that. Like somebody was speedrunning Resident Evil 2, their donation incentive was met, so now that person also has a speedrun Separate Ways DLC for Resident Evil 4, but then he also had to do Separate Ways DLC since they raised a certain amount of money and the incentive. So it's kind of cool that it's a really big, really good community. They do it. It's for a really good cause. It's a lot of fun to watch. I usually, it's going on like all day and then late into the night. So I usually just have it on in the background while I'm working, or like late at night when I'm playing my Switch. I just have it in the background watching it. Just a nice comfy stream. And I recommend anyone who's never watched one of these to tune in. Even when they don't have their biannual streams, they're still showing speed runs and highlighting communities all the time. Like even right now, somebody's playing, looks like Super Smash Bros. Melee, and going through something like the entire campaign speed running it. So yeah, just a super cool community, good cause. One of my favorite things to watch on Twitch right now. I don't really like Twitch as much anymore for tuning into people's streams. It's kind of bogged down these days, but this is one that I will always tune in.
Nice. All right, man.
Yeah,
I think that should do it. Anything else you want to cover before we wrap this episode?
No, great episode.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. You can find all our episodes on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Mitch, where else are we at?
Our Twitter is @HillsAreSilent. Our Instagram is @HillsAreSilent. Our TikTok is @The Hills Are Silent Podcast. And our YouTube, again, is @The Hills Are Silent. If you have any questions, comments, anything at all, hit us up our email inbox, hillsaresilent@gmail.com. Our Spotify comments, our YouTube comments. Thank you, Typo, for believing in Mike. He
Man.
He had some pickups, but...
Thanks for being my sponsor, but
yeah,
I'll get back on track, I promise.
He will. All right, everyone. Catch you in the next episode.